This motion reads that this council acknowledges the urgent and ongoing threats to South Australia's marine environment and economy. 2, recognises the critical role of large-scale shellfish and reef restoration in improving water quality and system resilience. 3, commits the state government to the development of a 5-year South Australian shellfish reef acceleration plan focused on expanding reef restoration to priority geographies, particularly the Gulf St Vincent region, Spencer Gulf and metro and coastal waters, and linked with localised monitoring, nutrient reduction strategies and stakeholder partnerships. Also, it seeks to task the relevant minister to report back to this council within 6 months on the progress of reef restoration events in our state, including the area restored, intended to be restored, partners engaged, budget profile and measurable ecosystem outcomes. And finally, actively encourages collaborative investment from the Commonwealth, philanthropic and private sectors to scale reef restoration in our state of South Australia, leverage, of course, the National Reef Builder model and local partnerships. Mr President, I do so in the wake of the algal bloom, an extraordinary event and challenge facing our state and our environment, so I rise to speak today about a really critical and timely matter. The restoration of our shellfish and oyster reef ecosystems and how investing in this natural solution directly supports our state response to the devastating, harmful algal bloom that we are currently seeing in our waters. Those members of this place and the other place who attended the forum I hosted recently called Pearls of Wisdom, the Oyster Forum as it was commonly known, which featured ecologist Faith Coleman, marine biologist Anita Thomas and marine ecologist Dr Dominic McAfee will be well aware of the work of the Nature Conservancy. Always get it wrong. So we call it TNC to save my stumbling over the words. And they've done some extraordinary work over the recent years, leading national scale efforts to rebuild our shellfish reefs in our littoral zones. Since 2015, TNC has partnered with the Australian Government and state agencies to restore which was once a, quote, near extinct reef habitat, including more than 40 hectares across 13 projects between 2021 to 23 under what is called the National Reef Builder program. We know that the government more recently with the federal partnership has announced further reef restoration programs, but when you discover that we pretty much have 1% of our reefs that we had pre-colonisation, you realise we have a significant challenge ahead of us to restore those reefs. The goal that has been stated to me is if we could do somewhere between 30 to 40% of what we once had, we would be a long way to not just cleaning our seas, but to cooling our planet, creating that habitat that will keep sand on our shores, restore the seagrasses, and filter the seas. Here in South Australia, we do have a challenge before us, but we also have really good reason to be optimistic. That partnership between the Nature Conservancy, TNC, and the South Australian Department for Environment and Water has already delivered low-profile reef modules at Glenelg, covering 2.1 hectares offshore from our metro coast. And anyone who has seen the photography underwater of what that has done to restore our marine environments will be inspired and hopeful in the face of what is an ecological crisis. So why is this ecosystem restoration so important? It hardly needs asking, but I will answer it. Oyster reefs provide and shellfish reefs provide multiple benefits. First, they function as living filtration systems. Oysters and their reef communities remove particles, excess nutrients and improve the water clarity. Second, they create three-dimensional structure on the seafloor, offering habitat for fish, invertebrates and supporting fisheries. Third, they contribute to coastal resilience and help stabilise our shorelines. And it's here that it is really clear that we can see the link to our present emergency. Many, of course, are really horrified, not just in this Parliament, but in our community about the unfolding environmental crisis. A large-scale harmful algal bloom dominated by the dinoflagellate Karinia mikimotoi has been affecting South Australia's coastline since March 2025. The bloom has been attributed to a complex set of drivers, but particularly I want to point to the marine heat wave in our South Australian waters since September 2024, rising sea surface temperatures and elevated nutrient loads in our coastal waters. The impacts are severe. Marine wildlife across many species, including fish, rays, invertebrates, have suffered mass mortalities. Water quality has degraded, and our fisheries and coastal communities are facing major disruption. In this context, restoring our reefs offers more than just a conservation project. It has to become part of our blueprint for marine recovery and climate resilience. These reefs can offer us much with regards to harmful algal blooms. By filtering the water and removing the nutrients from the water column and sediments, they will reduce the local nutrient availability that helps fuel algal proliferation. By improving water clarity and depth penetration of light, they support adjacent ecosystems such as seagrass beds, which are themselves critical to ecosystem health. By enhancing biodiversity and ecosystem complexity, they build resistance into our coastal marine systems so that when events such as the harmful algal blooms do occur, our system has stronger recovery capacity. This is not to suggest that this is the sole solution. Of course it is not. The primary drivers, nutrient runoff from catchments, warming ocean temperatures and altered hydrology must also be addressed in parallel. But restoration of oyster reefs is a strategic, tangible and proven part of the solution mix. Therefore, I've moved a motion today that I hope that this Parliament will see fit to support, certainly open to amendments from opposition, government or crossbenchers that they might think might make it more effective. But I think this is one area of addressing the harmful algal bloom that I would hope we could all agree on. At that Pearls of Wisdom forum, we certainly enjoyed eating the oysters, which were incredibly fat and juicy, because of the nutrients that they had been consuming, and then put them into a little basket in a bucket, which literally will go off to be sanitised, dried out for the 6 months or so, and then, usually with the support of community in particular, end up back on our sea beds, restoring our reefs, providing that habitat and eventually cleaning and filtering our seas. I can't think of a more positive way for the community to come together and for Parliament to show leadership than to actually give and commit to this 5-year plan, and for all sides of Parliament, regardless of their position on the harmful algal bloom causes, to see that this is indeed one of the key solutions. So with that, I commend the motion to the Council.